Ms. Brown for an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment at the desk. I ask unanimous consent that amendment be considered as read.
Without objection, so ordered.
Section 113 of this bill is an earmark for the state of Georgia and is trying to deal with a complicated issue involving sharing water rights between the state of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia by simply erasing long-standing policy that dictate a fair outcome for each state and its citizens. Congress have said repeatedly that the state of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida should work together on an agreement among themselves concerning the use of water from Lake Lanier. This is clearly an issue that should be handled by the states involved. It shouldn't be dictated by partisan language that harm many of the members on this committee and their constituents. And it shouldn't be decided by some bureaucrat at the Corps of Engineers. Moreover, a special master appointed by the courts is reviewing the case now, and any action by this Congress should once again delay the implementation of a fair agreement between the three states. Each state have a claim to the water and a need for the water, but how this water is distributed shouldn't be dictated by a committee in this Congress. The economic well-being of my home state of Florida has been permanently damaged by the lack of fresh water flowing through the Apalachicola Bay. The Bay is one of the most productive bodies of water in the Northern Hemisphere with major economic and ecology importance to the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The Appalachian River provides 35% of the fresh water flow and nutrients to the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and as such support fishery value at over $5.8 billion to Florida. Section 113 is like picking up your ball and going home if you don't like the score of the game. This is wrong policy at the wrong time and should be removed from this bill. The three states and the Corps engineer must use the best available science and stakeholders involved to resolve this issue at the state level. This is clearly the fairest and best solutions for everyone. I ask my colleagues to support this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, gentlelady. Anybody else seek recognition? Mr. Woodall is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to say that I agree with almost everything my friend from Florida had to say. Water decisions should absolutely not be made by a committee in this Congress. States absolutely should come together and make those decisions. In fact, just here on the committee, Maryland, Missouri, New Jersey, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, all involved in similar interstate compacts. But the language that the gentlelady from Florida seeks to strike is the language that prevents committees in this Congress from making these decisions. I'll read just briefly from an Alabama Law Review article. The gentlelady cited a dispute going on between Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. Alabama Law Review says this about when Speaker Newt Gingrich was leading this institution. They said, Speaker Gingrich has gone to great lengths to bring the states together in an effort to have them reach an acceptable agreement on their own. The Speaker's motive is clearly to resolve the dispute in the most efficient manner, which would be a negotiated compact. That is the only goal that we have. The senators from Alabama in the last WRDA bill added language in conference, never approved by this House, that said, no, the feds have a role in sorting this dispute out. We don't trust Florida to sort it out. We don't trust Alabama to sort it out. We don't trust Georgia to sort it out. We require a federal solution. That's not the right answer. This, much different from resetting 30 years of precedent, the amendment seeks to strike language in the base text that resets the level playing field that was made unlevel by the WRDA bill in 2014. So I would ask my colleagues to support this amendment, not to pick sides in any interstate water dispute, but to prevent the Congress from picking sides in any water dispute. Again, to read the language that the base text seeks to strike that was added in the 2014 WRDA bill. It says this: the committees of jurisdiction should consider appropriate legislation to address these matters, including any necessary clarifications of the Water Supply Act of 1958 or other law. The amendment added in 2014 seeks to insert the federal government, again, not just into Alabama and Georgia and Florida, but into Maryland, Missouri, New Jersey, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. Mr. Chairman, in my area, we spent $1 billion on a water treatment plant to pump water back upstream in the name of conservation. We've added 1 million new people to the metropolitan Atlanta region, yet we're consuming less water today than we were 10 years ago. This isn't about avoiding responsibilities. This isn't about picking winners and losers. This is about the only way to solve interstate issues is with the governors of the states sorting these things out, agreeing to that, and then having Congress approve that agreement at the end. The base text as it exists today strikes a provision added for the first time in the 2014 WRDA bill that unlevels the playing field. Passing the base text, opposing the Brown amendment, would restore that level playing field that has existed for decades. Again, a level playing field that the Speaker from the great state of Georgia did not try to make unlevel when he could put his finger on the scales of power, and that we should reject the Alabama senators trying to put their fingers on that scale as well. It happens to be Georgia, Florida, and Alabama today, but it's Maryland, Missouri, New Jersey, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia tomorrow. And I would urge a rejection of the Brown Amendment to restore that level playing field. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Micah wishes to be heard.
This is the kind of issue that we really don't like to bring before the committee. It pits one area against another. From time to time, if you've been on the committee, I don't always agree with Ms. Brown, but on this I have to say she's correct. This is a very tough issue because you have Georgia and Lake Lanier and some of the water sources coming down through Alabama and Florida. And since '58, we've relied on and we've supported a compact between the states to sort this out. In 2014, Mr. Woodall is correct. We tried to get a balance between that and then our federal responsibilities because the Corps does control the water flow, can control the water flow. So we tried to reach that compromise in getting fairness to everyone. Every state here would want fairness and be treated fairly. So the mechanism we set up there did, again, require the compact interaction of the states, and it defined the responsibility carefully of the federal government. We don't like being the arbitrator, but sometimes we are. So everybody's treated fairly, and the Corps has a defined responsibility. So to undo this, I am telling you, we had countless meetings, hearings, governors. We've had lawsuits. We've had all kinds of division about this. And you can starve other states by, again, allowing what's in the bill to remain unfairly, and you wouldn't want that for your state. So I would plead not to undo what we've had, to support the Brown Amendment and not to turn this into a state versus state free-for-all. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. I speak in opposition to this amendment. WRDA 2014 contained a provision that was a sense of Congress that was intended to do no harm, and as the gentleman from Georgia pointed out, that it has been, I believe he said this, but it has been cited in court cases favoring one state over the other, and all we're trying to do in this is level the playing field. I think it's fair. As he rightly pointed out, today it's Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. Tomorrow there's other states. He mentioned some eastern states. I know there's been western states over the years that have had some difficult issues, and so just level the playing field and getting these states together to work this out, I think, is the best way to move forward with this. As I said, this levels the playing field, which was intended in WRDA 2014, but unfortunately it wasn't interpreted that way, and so I oppose the amendment.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. DeFazio is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, you know, water wars are always very, very difficult and very personal and local in terms of their impacts. You know, the language that is in existing law basically says it is should be the states to resolve this issue. The committees of jurisdiction strongly urge the governors of the affected states to reach agreement on an interstate water compact as soon as possible, and we pledge our commitment to work with affected states to ensure prompt consideration and approval of any such agreement. I mean, personally, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know that this really advantages or disadvantages one side or the other, but I think that the language that is in here, you know, is not particularly controversial. Obviously, apparently Georgia feels that they will be advantaged or disadvantaged. Disadvantaged if it remains, perhaps advantaged or neutral if it comes out. I'm not sure, to tell the truth. So, members, you know, if members are confused about this, I do have a copy of the existing law, and you can read it and figure it out for yourselves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other members wish to be heard? If not, the question is on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed signify by saying nay. Nay. Opinion of the chair, the
Mr.
nays
Chairman.
the nays have it. Gentlelady.
Mr. Chairman, do I want to ask for a roll call vote?
You could if you wanted to. I prefer you don't.
I just want to know what's in the best interest of the state of Florida. I am surprised that you weighed in against Florida as much as you enjoy coming to the great state of Florida.
Well, you know, you and Mike are now on the same page. It's got me all flummoxed.
But, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to withdraw this amendment, and we're going to work on this amendment between now and this bill coming to the floor. Florida and Alabama will not be rolled by Georgia. We're going to work this out. All right? So I'm going to withdraw my amendment, and I'll see you later.
I appreciate the gentlelady.